Good morning. Can I have everybody's attention? We have a guest speaker today, Karen Anderson, and I'm going to have Karen talk about herself, if she would, before she starts. And we found out about a week ago that Karen was coming to town from her mother Ruth, which is this young lady right over here. And I believe today is Ruth's 96th birthday. So maybe after Karen presents, Ruth can maybe give us a couple of hints on how we can all last that long. And she's planning her 100th, and I'm 100% positive she'll be with us without any problem, and probably will be working from there on her 110th and 20th. She's got a great outlook on life. She's in great condition. Mine's 100%, and we're just very excited. How long have you been a member of the group?
Since it started. 25 years.
25 years?
Since she started.
Isn't she number two?
What?
Isn't her number two?
No, she's number
six,
six,
I
I
think.
think.
Six.
Number 6. I'm going to get a new hard drive when I get to the office.
So it goes back to 1984.
You know, whenever I think about Ruth, I think about Time Machine. Hers might, I mean, yours has got to be, you know, nearing capacity. But anyway, Karen, you're on.
Okay. I'm Ruth's daughter, and I live in Seattle, Washington. And I've been working with computers since I was a little girl, and she used to pay me to sort punch cards. And I'm a writer, but I work in the tech area. And one of the things that I'm doing currently, I was at Apple for 6 years. I worked on the iTunes Music Store and on .Mac, Mobile Me, iCloud. What I'm doing now is I'm working with a lot of companies and nonprofits in Seattle on social media. Some of them are very new companies, and they have a lot that they want to use social media. Some of them are very old companies, and they really don't want to use social media, but their CEO went on an airplane trip somewhere, read about Twitter, and they're off to the races. So my job is to give them a hand. And I also work a lot with my friends on social media stuff. So Jerry and George asked me to come here and talk about social media, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to start by saying you really can't avoid social media. If you contributed to a political campaign, if you own a house that has a street number, Google knows all about you. And when people search on the internet, there's information about you, even if you don't want it to be there. So it isn't really a matter of whether or not you're going to do social media. It's a matter of whether or not you're going to control what's out there about you, or whether you're going to let other people control it. I'm going to do a very short history of social media. 2004, a bunch of people discovered Facebook and Twitter and started doing strange things with it. 2012, by this point, everyone's doing social media. The Senior Center has a blog. The Seattle Police Department has 51 local Twitter streams. And if you hear a siren, if you hear sirens, you can go to Twitter and find out what the police are doing, because they have a guy, their dispatcher is already putting it out on Twitter. And businesses are starting to use Facebook. You know, they used to, the businesses would put up pages on Facebook and they would try to sell you things. They're now selling things to each other. I don't think they're doing a very good job of it, but Facebook is so powerful that businesses believe they need to be there. 2014. Social media is starting to turn into a big yawn because people are using it too much, and there are almost too many forms of social media. I have friends who spend all their time on Twitter, and I don't hear much about them anymore because I don't like Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I use Facebook and LinkedIn. Social media people are getting lost in it. Everyone's using Facebook, except there are a few people who don't use it. And my partner Tom doesn't use it. And he was horrified to discover this morning that his great aunts died, and no one told him because they assumed that he was on Facebook and had seen family discussions about it. Twitter has evolved. It used to be where people would just go on and write about what they were eating for breakfast. And now it's being used for breaking news, and it's really, really useful. If something is going on in your community, that, you know, they're closing the beaches, there's an invasion, there's a fire downtown, Twitter is the place to go for that information. And I will talk about using Twitter just for following news. LinkedIn is strictly for business, and websites are back. People are finding that why should they be putting all these interesting content and stories and things on Facebook when they could be putting it on their own blog or website. So first of all, we'll define our terms. What's social media? And it's just about everything that you use to communicate. It's Facebook, Google+, which is kind of Facebook for geeks, and Twitter. It's professional networks like LinkedIn. How many people here have a LinkedIn account? Okay, I will talk a little bit about LinkedIn. I will make sure to talk about LinkedIn. Blogging tools like WordPress and Blogger. Apps, if you play games, you're pretty much aware that there are leaderboards, and other people that you know appear on these leaderboards, and you get to find out how they're doing with the game. Foursquare is a location app, and I tend to check in on Foursquare, and I have a small group of friends who use it, and I can see where they're traveling. Rating sites are social media. When you go to Yelp and you check to see what somebody thought about the service at the restaurant, you're using social media. TripAdvisor, social media. Urban Spoon. And, curation sites like Tumblr, Reddit, and Storify. And the one I'm going to bet people here know about is Pinterest. Does anyone use Pinterest? I really like Pinterest. Photo sites, Flickr, which has been around for a very long time. It's a great place to, for free or minimum price, put up large groups of photos that you want to see, have a bunch of people see. And there's also Instagram, which is newer. And then there's the video channels like YouTube and Vimeo. And then there's all the casting sites, podcasts and video casts and webinars. And some of these are, you have to pay to use them. Others are free because they're giving them away to sort of tease you on. So why do we use social media? Well, businesses use it to engage clients and make sales. Organizations use it to engage community and create advocates. You know, if you are the senior center and the city has decided to take away your parking lot, a really good way to deal with it is to get onto your Twitter feed or your Facebook page and say, the city's taking away our parking lot, call the mayor. And this can be extremely effective. Businesses and governments use it to streamline and speed up customer service. A lot of the companies discovered that when they have an outage, people start emailing them and saying, you've got an outage, when is it going to be fixed, when is it going to be fixed, it isn't fixed yet. It's easier to just say, follow our Twitter stream, and have the people fixing the outage say, we've got this area up, we've got this up, that's still down. And even large companies like Cisco are using Twitter for that purpose. For everyone, it's to communicate news to a broad audience. My partner's family, Tom's family, did not want to try to email every person on the planet when the aunt died, so they communicated it through Facebook. And to become part of the conversation, because people start saying to you, oh, she put this on Facebook, they put this on Twitter, all the pictures are up, go look at did you hear this band? They have a video on Vimeo, you should go look at it. So people join social media because they want to become part of the conversation. And this is some of the good news. There are a lot of different roles that you can take in social media. And when we talk about using social media, there's this stereotype of people posting endlessly about, you know, what they just ate and how annoyed they are because the driver in front of them cut them off in traffic as they're twittering driving down the highway. The good news is there's some really good roles that don't look like that. And one of them is the passive role. You talk about people being a lurker, but if you're just using social media, find out what's going on. You hear the sirens and you get onto Twitter to see what's going on in your neighborhood. That's passive. It's a perfectly good way to use social media. When you're reading people's blogs, that's a passive use of social media. If you start commenting, then it's an active use. There's a directed use of social media, and that's when you're asking for new information. If you've seen on Amazon, all those comments on Amazon are social media. And it used to be you bought something on Amazon and you wrote, I think this is terrible, or it looked great but it smelled strange. That's all social media. But now you can ask a question. With this, everyone's writing about buying these seat covers for their Toyota. I have a Honda Fit. Would it work? And it actually gets posted up on Amazon, and Amazon will send you, if you've already commented, a question saying, someone is asking about those Honda seat covers you bought, and they want to know if they'll work on the Fit. And then I have an option of engaging. But the person who asked was asking that question up on Amazon. Then there's expressive, and that's when you're communicating news to an audience. And usually we communicate news by using an email list, sending out a newsletter with MailChimp. But if you start using Facebook to communicate this kind of news, that's expressive. And you can also share creative content. A lot of people do crafts work, and they put up pictures of what they're doing on their Pinterest page. And other people who are interested in felting with cat hair can Google, they can look on Pinterest under felting with cat hair. There's an entire book on felting with cat hair. Conversational. It used to be that people would get onto email lists and forums and argue back and forth. Google groups, Yahoo. You all probably belong to a Yahoo group. And now a lot of people, Glenn Fleischman, the Macintosh columnist and Wi-Fi guy, loves Twitter. And you can follow Glenn all day if there's some breaking news about the Mac. You can just go to Twitter and Glenn and his friends will be discussing it all day. And you can follow or get involved in that. And sometimes when something first comes out and people are testing it, I will go online and give Glenn feedback. I installed it, and even though all you people claim it destroyed your email, my email works just fine. And that's a data point that I'm providing to Glenn, who will later probably use it to write a column. So there are a lot of ways that you can get involved in social media, some of which are very low risk. So overall, is being on social media a good experience or a bad one? Well, it depends. Do you choose the right platform? Does anyone here get involved with social media on behalf of a nonprofit or a business?
A little bit,
Yeah. So I'm always laughing when people say to me, they'll come to me and they'll say, the community center wants a Twitter feed so parents can, see what programs we're running. And I say, well, do any of the parents use Twitter? No, they all use Facebook. In which case, if you want to have a good experience, you need to go where your friends and your customers are. It doesn't do any good. If all your friends are using Instagram, you probably won't have a very good time on Twitter or on Flickr or vice versa. Right now, I'm with a group that's trying to decide whether or not to put its information on YouTube or Vimeo. And we're discovering that a lot of government agencies and nonprofits use Vimeo, and whereas more businesses are using YouTube. Very interesting. Choosing the tools you enjoy using. Obviously, if you end up using a blog and you find WordPress very complicated and annoying, you're not going to have any fun and you're not going to blog very often. But if you really enjoy uploading pictures to Instagram and you take a lot of pictures, that would be a good place for you to be. Then choosing your role and using common sense about what you communicate and to whom. And boy, that's really the key piece. Social media is really like a party. It's like a party in your neighborhood, or a party you might go to with colleagues at a convention, or a party you might go to when you're on vacation and you don't know anybody and you're going to meet new people at the Coconut Fest at the hotel. There are many different kinds of parties. And you want to decide which kind of party you want to be at. And here I have an obnoxious party and a tea party. Your experience will be very different depending on which party you choose to attend. So what can go right when you use social media? Well, you're going to get timely, useful information about your friends' news. You know, people are going to mostly wait until the Christmas letter, to tell you, my granddaughter graduated and got an award, or my wife and I have decided to celebrate our 50th anniversary. But if you're following them on Facebook, or you're looking at their photo stream on Instagram, you're going to see that right away, and you're going to be able to say something really timely, which is fun. You're going to meet friends of friends, and you're going to meet and find long-lost friends. I found my best friend from high school on Facebook, and it was great. I went and visited her. We had a wonderful time. I've also discovered a friend of mine will post something. His cat is sick, and people start commenting, and I start commenting, and I discover he has 3 other friends who have deaf white cats, and I discover one of them lives near me in Seattle, and I will probably go and meet that person in real life and meet their cat. I have a deaf white cat. It's a great way to communicate good news. And it's also a great way to communicate good tips. If I go to the local dry cleaner and I have something that nobody can fix, and this dry cleaner figures out how to mend it, I could go to Yelp and tell a bunch of strangers, wow, that's a great dry cleaner. Or I could put it on Facebook, and all my friends who live in Seattle would see, wow, this is a dry cleaner I should probably check out. So I actually really like the sharing tips part. Here's what can go wrong. Well, sharing the wrong information. It is shocking to me how many of my friends who are in their 40s and 50s who are job hunting will go out on a job interview and come back and say all kinds of nasty things. They didn't get the job, these people were idiots, they were unfair, they obviously don't like people with gray hair, and they rant and rave. Well, it is really easy for people to see this information, and for all you know, one of your friends works for that company or is married to the person who interviewed you. I also really worry about people who go into great detail about their health. I know these people socially, and I may be looking for someone to join the board of directors. And if I know this person has a serious health problem or mental health problem, I'm probably less likely to ask them to join our board of directors. And this is not a good thing. You also shouldn't complain about other people. I have friends who go on Facebook and say, oh, I'm not going to name names, but a certain woman who has, and then there's this long description, and you know who it is. And it's uncomfortable to read, and in the end, it doesn't reflect well on the person who's doing it. Sharing information with the wrong people you don't know or trust. And this is something which I think occurs more with people in their teens and 20s, but they put out a lot of information, and they aren't careful about who they're sharing it with. And then a lot of public stuff about them is out there, and you can never get it back. Once you've talked to the wrong people, you're stuck. They've heard what you said. And this is something I really want to warn people about, and it's using someone else's account to snoop on the pages of people who are not your colleague. It's a bad idea. And then, because you know a lot of information about them, they'll say, how did you know that? And you have to reveal that you snooped. It's not good. So here's some social media safety tips. I'm going to focus on Facebook, but I will also talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because the tips are the system works differently.
Karen,
Yes,
when you say snoop,
yes.
like a friend of mine, their son got married, and they were snooping on their new daughter-in-law. If they're not a friend, they can still get in there and snoop?
No. Let me explain. And that's a good example. So they want to snoop on their new daughter-in-law. Now, if their daughter-in-law, like a lot of younger people, has absolutely no concept of privacy, and she has set her Facebook stuff to public, That they're not snooping. They're just looking.
So, and if it's set to public then,
No expectation of privacy.
so you have all those settings.
It's like a glass house. But suppose she only lets her friends look at stuff on her page, but they happen to know that she's friends with their cousin. And they go to the cousin's house and say, we'd like to see what she's posting. And the cousin says, sure, and logs onto Facebook, and there they go.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's how they got there. So,
They're going to get caught. So here's how to stay safe on Facebook. Accept friends' requests only from real friends. And a real friend would be someone you'd invite to a party in your home. It might be a neighbor at your condominium. It might be someone from this group. People you've actually encountered somewhere. The problem comes when you get a friend request and you think, who on earth is this person? And it will happen. And you can, without accepting the friend request, you can go look at their profile. Now, it might turn out that the person is the daughter of your best friend. And she's off at college, and you probably would accept it. But as soon as you find out, like, it's the friend of a friend of a friend, it's some guy who lives in some bizarre place you've never heard of, you can just ignore the friend request. There is no reason why you have to deal with anyone that you don't want to. Now, this is a little tougher. Don't accept friend requests or messages from people you don't like or trust, gossips, or business colleagues. Here's why. I have a lot of clients. I promise to do various pieces of work for them. My dear friend from Boston turns up in Seattle and she says, I'm in town for a conference. Would you like to spend the day with me going to the Pike Market? I've told my business colleague that I will be working on his website all day long. But I'm out with my friend and we want to put up pictures of our day at the Pike Market. I do not want my client to say, wait a minute, she was supposed to be fixing that website and there she is down there on a pirate ship with some woman from Boston. So I have really, with one exception, I have really discouraged business friends from joining me on Facebook. And what I'll do is, they're my business colleagues, I would just go to LinkedIn, find them on LinkedIn, and send them a request on LinkedIn, and they're very happy, which is lovely. The flip side for those of you on LinkedIn is really be careful about letting your friends on LinkedIn with you. Some friends get it, but some friends don't. And on LinkedIn, people can share various things with you. What you don't want is your friends sharing cat pictures with you on LinkedIn, where you're trying to do, you're the vice president of an insurance agency, and somebody is putting cat pictures all over your LinkedIn profile. So keep the business on LinkedIn and keep the friends on Facebook. And everybody's happy, and it works. Now, in terms of the gossips and stuff like that, yes, Jerry.
Mitch.
Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, I've been doing Facebook for some time, and I ran into the dilemma where clients were wanting to friend me. And initially I thought about that, and I said, I don't want my clients to be friends because they're going to see, oh, well, he's out somewhere in California.
Yeah.
And so, but people would say, hey, I don't really want to be your friend. So what I ended up doing is I ended up friending those people and going into the Facebook filters and saying, don't show this person any of my posts and don't allow them any access to any of my stuff. So all they see is a picture of me, a picture of my bio, and they don't see any of my comments or where I'm traveling or any of the posts that I have. So that's one way that I found that's effective in getting around that.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. I've actually found that diverting them to LinkedIn. The business use of Facebook is declining a little because what Facebook used to do was allow businesses to go on there and spam everybody. And then Facebook started making it very difficult for the businesses to spam people, so now the businesses are starting to retreat a little bit. I have a real concern. There are two people in my social circle in Seattle who I've served on boards with, and I don't like them. I don't trust them. And it's so funny because we have all the same friends, and I will sometimes see them commenting on my friends' stuff, but I've just said to them, sorry, I only do Facebook with family and friends. And people generally get the message. I'm going to go over talking about privacy. Oh, yes.
About LinkedIn, I've gotten 4 or 5 requests to join LinkedIn from somebody, from different people. Do they actually ask that, or is that just, or is it the system trying to expand itself?
No, well, it's people who have given their address book to LinkedIn.
So they don't know necessarily
That person isn't specifically saying.
No,
Okay.
not usually, but sometimes. It's hard to tell. I really like LinkedIn. I like it less now than I originally did, but LinkedIn's really important for me. When people want to know what I do, they go immediately to LinkedIn to see who I am. And what I like about LinkedIn is with LinkedIn, it's the exact opposite of Facebook. You want business colleagues there. And one of the problems you run into is you'll go to some cocktail party for business, and you'll meet some exchange cards. And next thing you know, this person wants to be your friend on LinkedIn. The problem is, on LinkedIn, you really want people with whom you have a genuine professional relationship. And generally what I consider that to be is if I went to a seminar and I sat at a table with this person and we did joint problem solving and stuff, and I thought they were pretty bright and good, I'm likely to let that person or friend that person on LinkedIn. But just because someone gave me a business card at a cocktail party, the next thing you know, you're being spammed by stuff they want to do. Sometimes I get a request on LinkedIn from someone I just don't know. They might be in the same field as me in New Jersey, and I don't know why they want to. And I just ignore them. Every once in a while, I'll get a request from someone who gets past me in some way. That they say, oh, I'm a friend of Joe so-and-so's, and I think, yeah, he must have been the guy that I met at that conference, and I friend them. And the next thing I know, I get to think, you look really cute. At which point, I report them to LinkedIn. And this used to...
What about if they say you're really ugly?
I might report them to LinkedIn. But this used to be really easy. And if somebody got reported a couple of times, they were banned. They were completely out of there. LinkedIn has made it a little more difficult to report people, but you can still do it, and I really like that. So LinkedIn, if LinkedIn allowed a lot of stuff, like if they became a mess, people wouldn't use them anymore and they'd be in trouble because people pay to get premium levels there. Anyway, I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about privacy. There's something terribly wrong with the Facebook privacy and security settings. No one uses them. And, in all fairness, they're hard to find, but there's a trick. Either Google Facebook privacy settings or go to facebook.com/help. And they're right there. You cannot go wrong. Facebook.com/help.
Karen,
Yes,
but Facebook has a history,
yes.
a reputation of changing their structure about every quarter.
They do. And just when they do it, go back to facebook.com/help and adjust your settings. I have actually never had any problem with my Facebook settings. They must be fairly tight. But I'll show you what I'm doing with them in a minute. So this is the page you'll get. It's up there. You'll see desktop help, privacy, basics. I actually like the second one down, choose who you share with. And if you spend time on this page, you will have a pretty good Facebook experience. Yeah, the basic privacy settings and tools and choose who you share with are the two areas you want to work with in there. And this is the most important setting you will find in Facebook. And it's the level of access. Who can see what you put up there? And there are 3 levels. There is friends, there is friends of friends, and there is public.
Do you have to name your friends?
No, they're there.
So it's a classification.
Yes. No, this is a global classification for what you want to do. And this is the easiest way to do it. You either say, I want my stuff to be visible to my friends, or it's okay if it's visible to friends of friends. which I don't really recommend, because inevitably, one of your friends has befriended an idiot. And you are only as safe as your most naive friend. So if you have any friends who have bad judgment, you do not want friends of friends. And public is the glass house, where you're just bats if you pick public. Now, what's going to happen if you pick the one I recommend, which is just friends? You're going to run into one frustration. You may be in a discussion, so you're in a discussion for friends, and your cousin Judy is one of your friends. And Judy has posted that she heard that Aunt so-and-so is sick. And you look at the comments, and one of the comments is from cousin Wilbur. And he says, yes, I saw her yesterday, I'm handling everything. And you click on cousin Wilbur, and because you're not directly friends with cousin Wilbur, you can't talk to cousin Wilbur. But you can ask him to be a friend. So you just put in a friend request to cousin Wilbur, and he'll get back to you. And it's a little bit of a frustration, but that's the safest way to go. That you don't share with anyone you're not a friend with. Actually, in the back.
Yeah.
When I've encountered that situation, and I really want to talk to the person, I'll message them. Because you can, even if you're not a friend, you can connect to them via message, right?
In the settings, I could block your message,
Oh, no kidding.
but most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't. And Facebook just did something new. They have a messaging, essentially, app. And they just did something new. It used to be that people would send out a message to you and to 80 other people saying, let's all have a party next Sunday. And you'd say, cool. You would get every single one of the 80 answers. I can't go, my dog has fleas and I have to take it to the vet. And it's going bing, bing, bing. So Facebook just did something now so that you do not get everyone's answer when you get a message like that.
How do they, excuse me, Jim, my name is Jim.
Jim.
How do they filter? In other words, some
The answer-
responses you want.
You can change a setting.
Huh?
You can change your setting. Actually, there's somewhere you can say mute the conversation. And that's generally what I do. I only want to talk to the originator of the message. You can still hear from them. If Susie puts out the invitation, I hear from Susie, but I don't hear from, and you can still go look at the conversation, but it doesn't ding you on your iPhone every time someone answers in the middle of the night, which is exciting. Yes.
They're just family, is that a category?
You can create lists, and you can create a list for your family.
Oh,
And you can manage it. I've actually found that managing lists is a little annoying. It's why I don't use Google+. Google+ drives me bananas because of the lists. And then I can, well, did I tell this to this list? Did I tell it to that list? Does David Levine? Oh, did I forget David? Google+ has not worked for me. I won't go into it. So beyond Facebook. Again, LinkedIn is for business colleagues, not friends. Twitter can be extremely frustrating unless you have a specific thing that you want to follow on Twitter, like the New York Times or the local police or something, or some famous celebrity that you just love just died. That's a great time to go to Twitter and see what people are
and
saying.
how do you
there.
get to them on Twitter? I don't understand.
You can follow anyone
You
you
said
want.
follow, but how does one follow?
You click the follow button.
Okay.
You just go to Twitter, type in the name comes up, and you click. Twitter's completely different. You get followed. There are no friends on Twitter. There's just following. And on blogs, never blog angry. Don't Facebook angry. Don't do anything online when you're angry.
Yeah, Mitch. On Twitter, I like that, and I do it for the news items. What I find is lacking there, and maybe it's not, and I just don't have it set right, is if there is a bomb that goes off in New York City all of a sudden, and the Twitter lines are going mad, there's nothing that pops up on my phone and says, hey, there's a lot of activity going on here, you better check Twitter. That's not there yet, is it?
I don't think it is. And what's interesting is you have to know the hashtag a lot of times to follow something on Twitter. If I want to see everything about the New York bombing, I have to know if the hashtag is NY bomb, or New York bomb, or LaGuardia bomb. And sometimes it's all three of them. Twitter,
I find it a little frustrating to
you
use
move around,
sometimes.
you look and see what other people are doing. You type in bomb, and then the first 5 things that come up on bomb are probably hashtagged NY bomb, and then you say, aha, I need to follow NY bomb. If you decide you want to become obsessed with Twitter, you need to use a dashboard like TweetDeck. And
With what?
TweetDeck. And believe me, the people who are putting things on Twitter aren't doing it through Twitter. They're doing it through a dashboard like TweetDeck. And when I have had clients who were insane enough to want to use Twitter, I have used TweetDeck to manage their stuff. It enables you to have lists, like if you were tweeting and you wanted to tweet in a way that got, if you want to see, say I'm following Twitter and I want to see what my personal trainer is doing on Twitter. She's very big on Twitter. I can set up a stream for her. I can set up a stream for my 10 clients. If they all have Twitter feeds, I can go to Twitter in the morning and see what my clients are saying. But otherwise, Twitter has just turned into insanity. I find it frustrating. The one thing I'll say about Twitter is this. If you blog and you're using WordPress, which I'm betting the majority of bloggers are using, you can, there's a little button on WordPress called Publicize. And what Publicize does is it lets you send a little note. I just posted a blog post about Italian food. It lets it send it to any other accounts you have. So if you have a Twitter account, and a Facebook account, and a LinkedIn account, you can say, I just wrote about finances for business. I would like to have that put up on LinkedIn. From all my friends on LinkedIn, get a little note saying, Karen just wrote a thing explaining about finances for business. If I decide to write something funny about the boat that just rammed another boat at the marina near my house, I might blog about that and say, put a note up on Twitter. Now, I don't have to go to Twitter. It automatically goes to my Twitter account and says, 2 boats just exploded in front of Karen's house or something. And what's interesting is then people will come from Twitter to my blog, or they'll come from Facebook or LinkedIn to my blog. So I'm dealing with Twitter from the safety of my blog. I'm not actually, and if people over in Twitter want to come visit my blog, that's just wonderful. But I don't want to go to the trouble of going to Twitter.
TweetDeck is not an app.
It's an application for the,
Computer, not for, not,
you know,
I searched TweetDeck and I got nothing.
interesting. It may have some other name on there, but it's an application for the computer.
Let me try it, maybe a different spelling.
So a word about photos. Yes. You know, people talk about all Twitter, Facebook is stealing your data and people are stalking you on Facebook. The worst disasters I've ever seen in social media involved somebody posting a picture of somebody else. And the person whose picture it was didn't know about it and didn't like it. And it can be as simple as you are at a party and people are being funny and they're waving bottles of beer around and you take a picture of, this is Milton's retirement party and here's everybody from the company. Well, it turns out Milton's friend, who's in the picture, isn't supposed to be drinking or whatever is going on. And there his wife sees him with the bottle of Heineken. Or I have friends who are complete internet phobes. And they don't ever want to be identified in the picture. But they were at someone's talk, and we took a picture of the people standing around arguing after the talk. And there's Rudy, and he's furious. And he writes you a nasty note, and the whole thing is a meltdown. Or it's just an unattractive picture. This woman might be very happy to have a picture of her in a cocktail dress on Facebook, but probably not this picture. So if you really, 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 really be very careful about what you post in pictures, and cross them if you think that there's some people that you might not want to be on there. And it's always safest if you want to put up a picture like that. Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
John Peacock, question on Rudy. Okay, he doesn't want to be in the photo, but at some point, he was in a family photo and someone said, okay, this is Rudy. Does Facebook use facial recognition to automatically identify him in the party photo that he doesn't know is there?
Not currently. Google is more into that, but you can also, when you post photos into Facebook, you will often get a little thing that says, do you want to tag this photo? And you can just say no, and I always say no.
Do you want to
To tag, do you want faces to be identified? And if you say yes, it will either let you tag it, in which case if that person belongs to Facebook, they'll get a note. I have a friend who tags me in photos. And when he does, they end up on my news stream. And I may think it, but I don't care that there's a picture of his wedding anniversary that I went to. I don't want to tell everyone I know that I went to his wedding anniversary. Nobody knows him. Nobody cares. And there he is in my news stream. I would prefer not to be tagged. If I'm standing there getting an award somewhere and someone says, this is Karen Anderson with a tag getting an award, that's okay that that's in my news stream. I also am afraid he tags me in pictures of food, and his food keeps turning up in my news stream. It makes me nuts. But yeah, so the general thing is less is more. Less is better. When in doubt, put up a picture of your cat, or you, if that's you jumping off into the pool with that tube, and for some reason you want to share that, that's fine, but don't do it to your assistant. So, yes.
Thank you.
So that's what I have to say about social media. Are there any questions?
Is there any way, Karen, that, sorry, Mike,
Yes.
is there any way that, you put this presentation together, give it to Facebook, and give it to everyone before they get on there?
No, but I can put it up on my blog and people can point other people to it. I used to do a lot of work in blogging and give people instruction on how to blog. Using common sense will save you every time. And if you were wondering, if you're thinking maybe I shouldn't put this up there, you shouldn't put it up there. And basically, between having good judgment and never hitting publish while you're angry. And there's another thing about photos. A lot of times we're putting up photos that come off a photo roll on our iPhones. And they're very small. And sometimes we edit them. You crop out something you don't want to be pushed. It is very easy to publish the wrong photo. And I have a friend who died recently, and this was a man who blogged his entire cancer thing. He was amazing. He's a famous writer. His name's Jay Lake, and nothing embarrasses Jay, we thought, until the morning that he took a picture of himself. And it was something about his hair. He had tattoos. He had a tattoo on his head that said, if you can see this, I've got cancer again. Whenever his hair fell out, he had cancer 4 times. This guy had no personal boundaries. There are movies about him. He had a wake before he died in which he leaped out of a coffin. So one morning, Jay is taking a picture of something in the bathroom mirror, and he crops it, and he pushes it, and it goes up to Facebook. He hit the wrong picture, and there was a nude picture of Jay on Facebook for about 6 minutes until somebody called him on the phone and said, whoa! And Jay was so embarrassed. And he blogged about what happened. He took it down, and he blogged about what happened, and he did such a great job of blogging about it that I blogged about his apology. He said, I hope nobody got frightened this morning. And it was it was hilarious. But he did a really good job of apologizing, and I wrote about that as an example for people, for how to apologize if something goes wrong on social media. So, yes.
When you write a book, how do you market it? Do you market it on Facebook or LinkedIn?
Many ways. And yes, Facebook is not, then we talk about how Facebook works into a book marketing campaign. because a lot of my friends are authors. And the way it works into it is this. The actual basis of stuff for the book is going to be in other places. There'll probably be a YouTube video, you doing a reading from the book. There'll be a website for the book. There'll be ordering links. What you do with Facebook is you figure that most of your friends, or if you're an established writer, your fans, are on Facebook and they're probably following you. So that's where you post all the time-relevant information about where your readings are going to be. And if you're doing a reading at Barnes & Noble, you would go onto Facebook and say, next week I'm doing a Barnes & Noble reading. And you can even do an invite, and people can respond to it, and you'll get a list on Facebook of who's going, stuff like that. In fact, that way you get a feeling for who's coming. In Seattle, the major bookstore has a Facebook page, and they invite us to like it, and we go and like it. And then they send me something on Facebook and say, here is who's speaking this week, here's who's speaking next week. So a lot of places are using Facebook for near-time communication. One author I know, some authors overdo it. The author will say, the book's been submitted. The book's been published. I just got a sample of the cover today. Here's what the cover's going to look like. The New York Times reviewed the book. Here's a link to the review. So yeah, people use Facebook when they publish a book. Yes.
My name is Ron.
Hey, Ron.
If you like something, what can happen?
If you like something, their notices can appear they'll appear in the list of what you see on Facebook. They really can't do much else to you. When you like somebody, they can't even see your page as a friend. But what you're doing when you like them is you're giving them the right to have their news appear in your news stream.
So in this way, you could get a lot of additional postings on your Facebook.
But you can just go back and not, you can go into the settings and say you don't want to hear from them anymore.
All right, if you go into the settings, how do I get rid of them?
The answer to all of those questions, I have a question, interesting enough, is go to help. Just Facebook/help, and you will see very, very useful descriptions of it.
Can you go to that and show them?
I'm not online with it right now, but let's see if I can get online. Will the Naples Library just let me on?
Yes, you are online.
And you were on, so you're,
Oh, okay. Let me get to here.
George, another left-hand dock.
Yes, but on my regular computer, it's at the bottom. Has anyone ever used something called Huda Tray or something like that? I installed it and I can't get rid of it. I hate it. Okay, it's the loading. See, Mom, this is the part where instead of saying, it isn't working, you wait until it loads. My mother called me, this isn't working. Is something still going around? Yes. Well, wherever I hope that the Arlington has incredibly fast Wi-Fi. So there we go. So we wanted to see manage your account, messaging, connecting, sharing is probably a good place to look. We're looking at what happens when you like somebody, aren't we? No, I'm screwed up here. Pages. I wonder if this is creating pages or dealing with them. No, that's running a page. I'm going to end up, newsfeed. There you are, adjusting what you see in newsfeed. You will go there. How do I stop seeing stories from a person, a page, or a group? That is your answer.
Thank you.
Yes, I could do a whole other presentation on Facebook settings, couldn't I? Invite somebody else to do that. Yes.
Mitch, it's my understanding that when you delete pictures from Facebook, that they have those pictures, and they own those pictures if you've ever posted them. You're giving up the rights to your own pictures. Is that correct?
Yes and no. There's a way to get around this. I have friends who are famous photographers who charge a lot of money for their pictures, and they have to confront this because obviously they don't want some picture that they took that wins an award to now become the property of Facebook. And it certainly does not become the exclusive property of Facebook. What it means is that if you own the pictures you take, Facebook's saying, we own a license in perpetuity to use your picture. Here's the trick. If you've ever pulled a picture off of Facebook that somebody posted, and you want to use it in a presentation, it's not very good usually. The reason being, of course, in order to get it to load fast, Facebook squashes it down and essentially dirties it up. So what my friends who are famous photographers do is, when they load a picture onto Facebook, they don't load a high-resolution version. They load essentially a crummy version of it. So Facebook now owns a crummy version of your picture. They could do something with it, but not very much. So they could post it somewhere, but they couldn't put it in their annual report. It wouldn't even print correctly. So the answer is, and some people watermark their photos before they put it in Facebook. So that's your defense.
So, being a crazy thinker, what I was thinking is that 100 years from now, if Facebook is still around, they're going to be going to all these ancestry people and saying, hey, do you want to see all these pictures that Mitch Breyers posted on Facebook? We'll sell them to you for $500.
Yes.
And I can see that coming years and years from now.
Why would anybody want your picture?
They want mine, but I don't know about yours.
I could see where they do that, because if you watch the documentaries, Ken Burns has a lot of great photographs, and they move, it seems like it's a movie, but it really is
The Ken Burns back here.
And he has probably paid a lot of money for those photographs, and many he probably gets for free because of that particular fact, and he's been ahead of the game for a long time.
If they are not high quality, there's a real limit on what you can do with them. They can't be used for a movie or something. They just won't render well enough. They can only, I could see that actually they wouldn't be used by things like Ancestry where you want a little thing. I have just written a short story about a little girl who lives on an asteroid. And Earth has been destroyed. And she's trying to figure out that she has some stuff they brought from Earth, which is digital files. And there's an old scanned picture of someone, and no one knows who this person was. And she believes this person played an important role in her family. And she's going back through what's left of Earth records, which is not a lot. And she's using facial recognition software to match her picture up to see if she can find any other pictures. And what she finds a picture of the woman as a faculty member at a college. And that's the only piece of identification she could locate. And also that facial recognition software is not that great. And it's never really going to be, because people look a lot of different ways. So there's a fudge factor in everything. In the back of the room.
The second part of the what happens if you click like is, what if you click, say on Amazon, you bought a camera and you click that you like it. Does that generate messages to your friends saying that, hey, Don bought this camera, he likes it?
Well, we're just looking at the Facebook like, where you like a page. This page, the Fool's Cat Convention, and I liked it.
Right.
Amazon's likes are different.
Okay, but let's say it's this one, generic.
Does this mean
Everywhere
my
you go,
friends are going to
it's
find out? No, it doesn't. It just means they're going to send me a bunch of stuff. And they're going to put it on my news feed, which means my friends could see it. So.
Yeah. On Amazon, what I found, I changed my username to not being my name, because all of a sudden I'm searching Google for my name, which I periodically do, and I'm seeing Mitch Breyer's review of such and such on Amazon 4 years ago. So I don't mind if those appear on there, but I don't want them to say Mitch Friars. I want them to say user 1852 or whatever. And so I went in and I changed the name that they use to put those reviews in.
And Amazon will let you do that.
Amazon will let you do that. I can't tell you how, but
It's under the account thing there. I have an issue because a lot of my friends are writers, and I used to be a book reviewer. And I don't review anymore because I know too many writers. And I never review books anymore on Amazon because I don't want to review some, I don't review some of my friends have written quickly, they don't like it. So, yeah.
One of the things that drives me crazy, if I'm on Amazon and I search a product that I'm interested in, a camera or whatever, that search or that camera will then appear on every single web page that I look at.
There's an interesting solution to that. I use 3 different browsers. And one of the things is that they say now that Facebook knows they know what else you're doing. I found that if I'm using Facebook in Firefox and I'm doing my shopping in Safari, it seems to prevent too much crossover. I don't know if it always will, but at the moment it does. It seems to be browser specific.
Yeah, I use OmniWeb as my default browser, so anytime I click on the link, it's the same thing. I don't, because otherwise Amazon then is going to send you mail. Oh, you look at this, you might be interested in this, but if you've never used Amazon or Facebook on the OmniWeb browser, which works fine, then it doesn't generate that
See,
stuff.
I'm completely horrible. I play into the game. I hope they find out exactly what I'm doing. Because I love it when they say, we know you looked at X and X. There's a 45% sale on that at Zappos today. And I go and I buy it. In fact, I actually leave trails all over the place when I want something and can't afford it, and wait, and they'll tell me when it goes on sale, which is just fabulous. I know actually if I wait them out for 2 weeks, I even think they sometimes offer me special sales that are not available to the public site. I think they're actually discounting to those of us they know are working.
Or the other, on airplane fares, I think they actually take the fare up.
Yes, they will. On airplane fares, if they know you're looking for a fare. Oh, and if you're ever trying to buy a domain name, like beachcottages.com or something, if they see you're looking for it, it'll suddenly get very expensive. And what I always say to my clients, don't look for a domain name. Let me do this for you, and then I'll have you go in and make the purchase at a lower rate. Yes.
If you unfriend somebody because something objectionable or something like this, is there a record of that? Can that person be made aware that they've been unfriended, so to speak?
They are not sent a note that says you've been unfriended. But, and if there's, if you go through, people sometimes just go through and they prune their friends lists. And if there's some guy, he hasn't posted anything in months, and he's someone you met at a convention and blah, 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 and you unfriend him, he's never going to know. But if it's somebody who is engaged in intense political discussion with you on a daily basis, and they go to see what your idiotic views on such and such are, and they can't get to your page anymore, they'll know. Yes, and they'll generally complain to friends and friends. But there are some people who get unfriended all the time, and people stop listening to their complaints.
Question about images, Kathy. And sometimes there are images that are good quality and you'd like to save them. What is the best way to save them? To capture them from
I drag them. I just drag them on my desktop. The best way
Or
is
don't right-click and do and save it in, like a file that is Facebook or something like that and start saving them that
Oh,
way.
yeah, you can do that.
yeah, you can do it. I just drag them on the desktop and then throw them into whatever folder.
So are you interested because you want it in the best quality?
If you want high quality, I write to the
I mean,
person who
sometimes.
posted it and said, I write and I say, Doug, in the case of, I have a friend who's really good and he posts every day. For 10 years, he's posted 365 times a year, including upside down in the hospital. And and his photos are amazing. And if I see something really good, I'll just say, I want to buy a print. I'm going to PayPal you $25 and swing by your house, and I go and get a print. So,
I mean, I have no idea what the eventual uses, but I suspect that there are some uses for which I would like some photos, so I collect some.
yeah, and I mean, saving it so that you can, often it'll have a weird number or something. So save it so that you can say, like, Judy Wilson's photo from Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do that, I put a date or
Yeah.
whatever, but I know what the
And then you can
special
always
is.
chase the person down, and they'll say, I posted a picture of that, because they won't remember. So, yes. Yes.
Beth, Marilyn, looking for airline fares. If it happened to me just a month ago, I found a fare, but I had to check with the person who I was visiting. Next day went back and it had gone. So I was wondering if I looked for fares on my husband's computer.
Sometimes that happens because the airlines lower their fares on Tuesdays and raise them on other
Right, well, I
days.
know that, but it was,
So, yeah.
I mean, it just went.
It also depends, if you're using the airline site itself, that should not be a problem. The airlines don't do this.
Okay, it's
But
like
if you're
Orbitz or
using-
Expedia. Okay.
Yeah. But if you're actually using the airline, they would piss off their frequent flyers to such a degree. There's no reason. They want you on their site. They do not want you with Orbitz and Expedia looking at their rivals.
Okay.
So and this is why I'm now starting to book my airfares.
Through the
I do my
airline.
initial search in Travelocity or something, and then when I find what I want, I actually go bargain with the airline.
Okay.
So, yeah, the travel sites, which aren't technically social media, travel sites have really become a disaster area, which is very unfortunate.
What do you mean you
Wait
bargain?
a minute, you bargain with the airline, how do you do that?
Oh, I call them on the phone, and it's amazing what they'll do. If you're a frequent flyer and you want to start arguing with the airline, it's amazing what they can suddenly do for you. They hold back things. So do the hotels. The hotels will show you that they don't have something open, and if you turn up and say, hi, I'm a Hilton Honors member, and I really need a larger room, oh, for free, we'll give you a larger room. Because they're not, the closer you get to the actual source and the person who's making decisions, the more likely you are. I've become a huge fan of frequent flyer clubs and Hilton Honors, anything that gets you to another level of service.
Excuse me, did you say you call them?
I call people on the phone and talk to them. I call them the front desk at the hotel.
So you don't purchase a ticket online?
Sometimes I do. But if they don't have what I want, if I see what I want online at the airline, I buy it. If I don't see it, I call them and start discussing it with them. And it's amazing how often they've got it. And if they decide you're nice and they notice you're a frequent flyer and they go look you up, suddenly life just becomes really good. There's all kinds of, there have to be all these escape valves in these systems now. So, yeah, it's real weird. I also like TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is useful for deciding who you want to buy something from. The ratings are really useful in descriptions. And then once you decide who you want to buy it from, I don't go from there to Orbitz or something. I just go to the place and call them.
Directly?
Yes. I just went on a trip and discovered that hotels are just fine if I just walk in and say, hi, can I have a room? And it's cheaper than it is online. And I'm willing to put up with a high level of uncertainty. I know people have to like book months in advance or they're going to like mold. And I don't care.
I have found, when I'm searching for airline tickets, I found a website, it's called Skyscanner. And it's been a lot better than going through Expedia or Orbitz or Kayak or any of the other ones. And anyway, for that information.
You know,
What's that again?
Skyscanner.
Skyscanner.
So it's student.
It's an app on your,
Ah, okay. Let's see if it's also a website.
and there's no fee charged, and I found it the best prices.
Interesting.
Anywhere.
You know,
And I guess I read it in the paper, Wall Street Journal. or something.
one of the weird things is that stuff can be really good and then not be good. Stuff changes. These companies start out doing a really good job, and then they sort of make a deal. Say they don't have a website then. But companies will start off providing a really good service, and then they make a deal with somebody and it all goes south, so, yeah. That's,
Well, anyway, it's an app.
it sounds great. Yes.
Question about the difference between groups and sharing. No, groups and fan pages.
And pages. It depends what end of them you're on. A page is more where the company is in control or the organization, and it's almost more like a web page. They're putting out information. It's a great place to go if you want to know addresses and times and who won the award, official stuff. Think of it as their press release page. In a group page, they don't have as much control. Once you join their group, you and other group members can yak back and forth, and you can say things like, is anyone minding the store? Is anyone noticing a repost here? You know, anything can happen. So organizations like pages because they can control them, but people like the groups because they can discuss things. And what happens in a group is more organic. If you want a bunch of people to come down to City Hall and protest so you don't use your parking lot, you put it on your page, you really don't know if people are coming or not. If you put it on your group, and people say, yeah, let me give you a ride. The mayor really annoys me. There aren't any parking lots left in Ballard. We're going to go down there and roast the mayor. That can all be happening on the group page. So that's what the difference between the two is. And groups have a real trauma over whether they want to put their energy into a page or into a group. And I'm with a group right now who's having a real trauma about this. And I can give you a hint. Group pages, if you need to have a lot of solidarity and discussion and activity, group pages are really good. And what I use the pages for is events. So the group is discussing continuously all year long. But if you're going to be having a yard sale to benefit your organization, put up a page. People can go to that page and see the date and the time and the map. Otherwise, they're scanning up and down the news feed saying, did anyone say what time it is? Are we supposed to bring hot coffee? That's the problem with the news feed, is someone in here somewhere said something about this vital piece of information and you can't find it.
Can you search that?
You can, it's not always a real successful one. You have to know what to search. So say I want to know what time it's starting. If the person said, we're running from 4 to 5 and didn't use the word time, but everyone else is going, what time is it? Did they say what time it is? I thought it was this time, that time, the other time, but they're not saying what. You can end up with a lot of garbage. So that's when you want to have the page.
In your presentation earlier, you listed a whole different groups of social media, and there was one that you said you particularly liked. It was at the very end, and I can't remember the name of it, and you never talked about it later.
Yeah, that's that. There was a lot of stuff. Let's go back and see if I can find that.
No.
Yes, it's the beginning, there's just right. Does anything here look familiar?
You had divided, oh, there we go.
Pinterest?
Pinterest, you mentioned that specifically, but I
Have
never heard
you
more
ever
about it.
seen Pinterest?
No.
Ah.
Yeah, I see it all the time.
I've seen the word, but I've never been on the site, or I don't know what it is.
Okay, I want to escape from this, and it doesn't, oh, there we go. Here, we'll look at Pinterest. I have a Pinterest site. My mother will like it. It's full of pictures of chairs. Okay, there I am. What Pinterest is people create boards and they pin pictures of things they like. And it might be something that's on Amazon that they want to buy for Christmas. It might be something they took a picture of. Here is my board on overstuffed chairs. I wanted to upholster a chair. So I went out to websites and I just grabbed, and it says, I went to the Lucky Star Gallery and I grabbed a picture of that chair. I went to Lakota Cove and got that chair. That's in my living room. That's my grandfather's chair. This is the chair I bought at a yard sale and redid. That's the chair from the yard sale before I redid it. That's one I saw that I really liked online. So, yeah, and other people come, because they're looking to upholster chairs, and they type in overstuffed chairs, and they get this, and then they repin it. So other people, see, 4 people have repinned my grandfather's chair. So that's what this is. It's a site for, it's shopping without spending money. It's creating your own catalog. It's like those file folders. You know, I like this kitchen, I like these cabinets, I like their linoleum. Instead of putting it into a file folder, you put it on Pinterest.
Does it always have to be published to everybody? In other words, could that be your own personal kind of thing, and that it is not available for the rest of the world to see?
No,
No.
no. Pinterest doesn't charge. And what they're doing, of course, is they're sharing your content. But what you can do is you can have a group. So it says who can add pins. If I wanted, I could put up a Pinterest thing, and all my friends could put up pictures of the best bookcase they've ever seen. We could have a discussion about bookcases. Or it could just be me putting up bookcases. So, and you can go see what your friends are doing. And yeah, let's see what I've got here. And these are people I could invite. It knows who my friends are. But this is what friends of mine are putting up here. My friend Sarah likes jewelry. My friend Sarah likes a lot of things. Yes, she has great stuff. But yes. Now there's my cousin Buck. I could invite him to do Pinterest. Kaya Folio. Kaya is a writer, and those are her pins. So yes, she has 103 followers. I'm sure I have fewer than that. I have 78 followers, and I can see who's following me. There we go.
How did they find you, or did you invite them?
They just looked for me. I'm afraid to look at what Jason is looking at. This is a writer friend of mine, and I'm surprised. A lot of I actually did that. I want to actually look at what he's doing. He likes colorful stuff. So he's just done a board full of colorful things. Some people do stuff like this and put up sayings and posters. And it's, you know how sometimes you see cool stuff and you think, I really like that, but I don't need another one of those in my living room. So people put it on Pinterest instead, so they can enjoy the photo of it without having to frame it for $150 and find a place on the wall. Anything else?
Did you have a question? Or we just...
I think we're set.
Thank you very much.